Okay. All right. What's up, YouTube? It's Friday. Let's do it again. Let's see what we find out today. 3, 2, 1.
Sascha Riley named another politician, Andy Biggs, out of Arizona. I'm just going to show you a picture of him, and you tell me, what feeling do you get? I'm very unsettled looking at this man's face. This is a very creepy, disgusting, vile, scary face. And Sascha says that he remembers the people that he remembers because they were for different reasons, but Andy Biggs and Jim Jordan and the Orange were because they were especially scary and cruel and violent. The interaction that he had with him, according to Sascha Riley, was during a punishment that he was receiving for what he did to the Orange. And it was 2 days long, and he was taken somewhere where there were multiple stalls, multiple groups of 3 to 4 men beating him up and doing whatever they wanted with him, okay? And he was the last one to beat him. And when he came away from this interaction, he had broken ribs, he couldn't breathe. I believe this is when he said that he could hear the death rattle. It was clicking when he was trying to breathe. And his father, Sascha's father, he just remembers yelling at him. They were going back and forth. And he just remembers that this guy said, "What? You said I could do whatever I wanted to him." And the father said, "I didn't say you could kill him." This happened in 84 or 85, something like that, allegedly. In 1993, Andy Biggs won $10 million. And the American Family Publishers sweepstakes? In 1993. So we know, based on Sascha Riley's account, that this man was one of the people who was in this world. And in 1993, he just gets, the sky opens up and gives him $10 million, which is, by the way, the equivalent of like $22 million today. It's crazy luck. I also want to bring something up. I saw a few comments on my last video where people are like, well, why is this coming out now? I think there's some people who are insinuating, oh, well, that's really convenient, because this is, the Orange is famous, right? But why would he pick Jim Jordan? Why would he pick this fucking Andy Biggs, right? I think that lends itself to the credibility. These are two random politicians. The story he tells about Jim Jordan just turns out to be consistent because he was a wrestler. How would he have known that? How would Sascha have known that he was a wrestler? The story he tells is that it was one of these events where they were told that whoever can pin Sascha down can do whatever they want to him. And Sascha was like, I could fight, right? I was taught to fight by my dad, who was a bare knuckle brawler. And he said that the only person who ever was able to pin him was Jim Jordan because he knew how to fight, but he didn't know how to wrestle. And then it turns out that Jim Jordan has a wrestling background. He remembered his jaw, he remembered his face, he remembered his mannerisms, and he said that once he started seeing him on TV, he's like, that's him, that was him. Anyway, this got me thinking about something that I saw in the Epstein emails, and I was looking for it, and all I could find was my screenshot. I just remember that there were emails where Epstein was referring to the Orange as being evil or a monster. And I remember when I was reading it, I was like, how is he a monster? And what are you, a fucking choir boy? My mind despite what I do for a living, could not go here. But it's the only thing that is worse than what Jeffrey was doing. It is the only thing that I can imagine causing, now in hindsight, causing Jeffrey Epstein to say, I told you guys he was evil. Right? So here's one of the emails I found in my screenshots. From 2017 to Larry Summers. Recall, I've told you, I have met some very bad people. None as bad as the orange. Not one decent cell in his body. So yes, dangerous. In 2018 to Landon Thomas, explaining, like, Landon Thomas is expressing that he's scaring the shit out of me now. He could tank the global economy. He says, he feels alone and is nuts. I told everyone from day one, evil beyond belief, mad, and most thought I was speaking metaphorically. In an email to Kathy Rumler, who, by the way, used to work for Barack Obama, you see, I know how dirty Donald is. My guess is that non-lawyers, New York business people have no idea what it means to have your fixer flip. This is from 2018, August. Jeffrey Epstein is the fixer in this situation. Typically, the fixer works for the bad guy, the real bad guy. And I feel like this goes along with the idea that Epstein was not the guy. He worked for the guy. There were quite a few people asking how they can find the audio of Sascha's interviews. Search for the Substack called Outlaws of Chivalry. That is the journalist's Substack. And on there she has an article from 2025, from November of 2025, called Don't Worry, Boys Are Hard to Find. And that's where you can find all 6 parts of the audio. By the way, just in case you're wondering, the reason why it's called Don't Worry, Boys Are Hard to Find is because when they were ending girls like they were disposable, someone said to Sascha Riley, don't worry, you're safe, because boys are hard to find. Girls are a dime a dozen. There's other people who are incredulous because they're like, well, why is it coming out now? It's not his fault. That's for sure. He has told people when the military came to him saying, we found this CSM, this other person is watching, and this the party in this video looks just like you. Is this you? He said yes, and he named names. There was, I believe, from what I recall, there was an FBI involvement, and then it just never went anywhere. He also mentions that there was FBI investigations occurring when he was a kid. It's the reason why he wasn't ended, because there were many times where the players, when they were done with him, by the time he was about 13 years old, they wanted to end him, but there were active CPS investigations, things like that. People were having an eye on him. There were bruises, and the dad was like, do it, and we're all going to prison. So that's part of the reason why he made it, even when they were done with him. And don't forget, they let plenty of the victims live. And on the topic of FBI involvement and whether or not he's safe currently, so this author, the journalist, she made all of these. She made copies of the audio. She has said that in her article that she strategically has sent them to trusted people, to journalists, to law enforcement, just in case, right? And I guess it got to the FBI because when Sascha was contacted by the FBI, it felt suspicious to her, and she got him out of the country. She published this on her Substack in November of 2025. There were rumblings about this coming out in July, which I believe coincides with that meeting in Alaska that resulted in the lipless one exiting the meeting with an ashen look on her face. The world leader that they were meeting with is also mentioned in the tapes. When people ask, what must that world leader have against ours, could be so bad, I think it all starts to make sense. But listen to the audio yourself. People are finding it so unbelievable. But listen yourself, and you tell me how not credible he sounds.
All right. I'm gonna call it. Thanks for watching. Learned a lot today. Peace and love, everybody. Hopefully, we're one day closer to a major indictment. Hoping. Peace and love. Peace and love.